I'm here with Kerry Prior, and he had a very secret screening of a film that he is currently working on. It was a work print, and how did that go last night for you?
What's a good question. How did it go for you?
It went very well for me.
It was a test screening, so
right.
we were trying to, get an audience. How did it go for me? I'm not sure we got a clear picture of how it played.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the impression that it flopped or that people didn't enjoy it, but nor did I get an impression that people were overwhelmed by it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it played okay.
Was this your first time seeing it on a very large screen?
Yeah, and everything plays different on a big screen. Yeah, for sure.
So you got to see some things maybe that you still want to work on in that?
It was a rough cuts. There was a lot of technical issues. The mix was rough, and the color grade was rough. Sure. You probably noticed there were effects in it that were not full res and stuff like that. So
what was the decision to do the test screening? Because I know that's a very brave thing to do for an indie filmmaker. Sometimes they like to just hold on to it and not show it to anyone in public till it's finished. What was kind of the motivation behind it?
So we're in the post process, and one of the main things that we're looking at is the score. And so we had a lot of, our temp mix has temporary non-licensed music in it. And obviously that can't stand. So we've been like talking to composers, and some of them are very expensive. Some of them are amazing, and you'd love to go, okay, you're going to take 3 months and compose a score for this movie. It sounds spectacular. Sure. And we've been talking to some really amazingly talented composers, but we have to be able to afford them. Mm-hmm. And so we've got producers and investors who are looking at this and going, well, how do we know the commercial value of this movie until we do a test screening? Sure.
Is
it worth it to spend $75,000 on or whatever? Probably shouldn't even talk numbers.
Oh,
but I mean, so, and then opens in a whole other discussion of what's going to happen to composers with AI. Because I literally, as an experiment, got onto one of the websites and I'm like, compose me a 1920s jazz piece with a female singer. Mm-hmm. And 2 minutes later, it did a pretty convincing job. Yeah. Now, scary, Satan wrote it or some, weird lyrics that don't make sense. And you're like, oh, it sounds like humans, but it's not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the main thing. We have to complete the score and the mix and the color grade. And we're like, okay, what's the commercial viability of this picture? How does it play in front of an audience? And I was going to do a screening in LA, started talking to Dean. He's like, well, we got a slot opening up here at Midwest Weird Fest. Mm-hmm. So we took a week and we just did a quick mix and polished it up, and I got a plane ticket out here.
Well, it looked really good. I did find that it was interesting. I couldn't finish it last night because I was really tired, but it is a different tone, different type of film than your other film, The Reverent. What was it that made you want to do a more, say, psychological or different type of film than that one, which was far more action?
I think it was just I'm a big fan of Polanski, mm-hmm. and so I certainly saw the references to Rosemary's Baby and some of those other period pieces, Wicker Man, stuff mm-hmm. like that, and I saw the underlying humor in the script, and so, but it was also opportunity.
Sure,
it was we were trying to get some projects off the ground, and Dean came to me with this script and was like, "Here, what do you think of this?" And I read it, responded to the script. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely has that 70s horror vibe to it, horror thriller vibe, the mood and atmosphere to it. You said you were a fan of Polanski. What other films did you draw to inspire from to kind of capture that feel?
Well, certainly one of my favorites is The Tenant. Mm. And, that's a funny, so I live in a barn in Ohio, which is a whole other story, but I would put on these screenings for friends in the barn. Because I would have conversations with people. I'm like, have you ever heard this movie? And no. And I always thought, well, I wish there were a venue. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I would do this in the summer, several times this summer. I put on these screenings. And finally they came out with a Blu-ray of The Tenant. And I'm like, oh God, it's one of my favorite pictures.
Sure.
Not just favorite Polanski, but favorite pictures. Mm-hmm. And so I play it for this audience of family and friends, and it was like crickets in the audience. They were like, "What?"
Sure.
And it's. I mean, to me, that's just a comedy, right? I laughed all the way through that fucking movie. But like, my stepmom didn't get it. She's like, "You're weird. I'm leaving."
Well, you know, I mean, it is a reaction, so I guess, and in that respect, the film was effective. It got a reaction out of her.
You're weird. I'm leaving.
Yeah,
that's a reaction. Yeah. Well.
And so, what's next? Do you have a schedule of when you're planning on having it complete, or are you just taking it as you can?
Really, it comes down to the score. You know, some people are like, it's going to take me 3 months to score that.
Yeah.
You know, maybe AI can do it quicker.
Well,
it may add a satanic aspect to it that's missing. You know, I don't know.
There is a satanic aspect to it, and you've got some wonderful props in here as well. You really went practical. Is that what you try to go for usually? Is practical whenever possible?
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like practical. I just saw Furiosa. Are we taking a left turn here?
That's fine.
But I'm like, I was just the right age, like the Road Warrior kid,
Oh, sure, yeah.
like when I was a teen, like blew my mind. And Furiosa was interesting because the first act of that, I'm going, whoa, this is all CG. And I didn't think it looked good. I didn't like it.
Sure.
Now, conversely, that movie is kind of a weird, Furiosa is kind of a weird art piece. So by the middle of the second act, I was kind of going, wait a second, there's something really genius about this movie. But the stunts and all of the stuff that they shot clearly in front of green screen and stuff, that didn't work for me at all. So yeah, when it comes down to it, I like real props, real guns, not real bullets.
Well, no.
But real blanks, like, you know, full load blanks. That's, you know, that's what I like.
Well, this has been a pleasure.
Real Pez dispensers.
Real Pez dispensers. You do have a Pez dispenser. A little spoiler, there's a Pez dispenser in here. We're not going to say what it's used as or for, but there is one in here.
Well, you know, we had a discussion over drinks last night about the Pez dispenser because it came up in the Q&A.
Yeah.
And Dean reminded me. He's like, well, remember, Pez dispenser.
It made sense. It made sense to me. I don't know why they were questioning it because I looked at it going, that's a brilliant way to do that.
It was kind of funny. It's like through that whole movie, including the electroperoximator, trademarked, by the way. And they pick out the Pez dispensers. Hang on a second now. You know, we got to ask you about that Pez dispenser. All right. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. This has been a pleasure. I'll put information, links for Prior in the body of this interview, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure.